Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shah, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shah, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shah, Ka'alayim Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Waharakaha Kadash. That's the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, in whom we praise. Double honors to our apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone who rule well over the flock of Israel. Shalom and salutations to you, Akim, out here pushing the words of truth and sincerity. Shalom to all the Lord's elect, Akim and Akwatham, scattered Israelites and Israelite foreigners. Abarat Zah, which is Lord willing, this video is edifying. It's the brothers here at the Great Millstone branch here at Birmingham, Alabama. Myself, Rapah Ma, alongside Priest Yeshaya, Priest Samak, got Priest Adan, and coming back with another lesson on this topic. Urgent war alert. And everything about the scriptures and end times prophecy is urgent. Can we get that definition as well? Urgent. All right. We got urgent war alert, rumors of war, which we got the entire lesson to go into all the rumors of war. Specifically, we're dealing with NATO, Greenland, and the United States. That rumor right there. This is like something that broke pretty much in the last 2 weeks. You're not hearing too much of it, but you know that it's big enough to be, part of prophecy. When we're dealing with NATO, you're dealing with that beast. You're dealing with America, you're dealing with that whore. Okay, and Greenland is a land that's owned by, who is that?
Denmark.
Brothers, help me out. Denmark. The water. Denmark being a part of NATO. And let's go with what you got off the top. Urgent. I see the brother put up urgent here. So the scripture says in Matthew 24, let's grab that first. Brother Yeshaya, Babak Yeshaya.
Khan, this is the book of Matthew, chapter 24, and verse 6. And it says, And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet.
Yep. All these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So now we're not to be troubled. That means we could spend more time dealing with the matter than to be worried and troubled about the matter. So that's important that the Lord worded it that way for us in these last days. Why are we taking 2,000-year-old words and referring to them now? Because it's specific about the end times. This is all end time prophecy. So Yahweh Shah spoke 2,000 years ago concerning things that will happen in these last days. And that's why I say you shall hear wars and rumors of wars. If you go up, can somebody just read? You ain't got to add it or put it up there, but just read from verse 3, or when the apostles asked Yahweh Shah the question.
Yep. Going to Matthew, the book of Matthew, chapter 24, starting at the 3rd verse. And it says, And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world?
So there's a few things they needed to know, right? While they had Yahweh Shah on the scene, they're asking them, when shall be the end of the world? Showing you that they understood ages. Paul wrote, I not write unto you that you are ignorant concerning these things. You know about the seasons and the times. All right. They understood ages, the Greek word eon. All right. When is the kingdom end and when is the next kingdom going to begin? This is all biblical prophecy language, right? The statue of Nebuchadnezzar's dream, prophetic symbol of when one kingdom begins and another kingdom ends at the different elements that was used in that statue. Started with a head of gold. It came with the arms and chest of silver, and then the brass. It was showing you that the beginning and the end ends with a different element or a different metal, all the way down to the feet of iron and part miry clay, which is a destabilization of what it used to be. Now the legs was the Roman Empire, so the feet part iron, showing you that indication that it's still a Roman Empire, and part miry clay, which shows you, it indicates that it's softer. It's an element that these two don't blend well together. Now, when you have NATO, you have a conglomerate of many different nations in Europe that just don't blend well together. And that's why Trump is making certain statements about NATO that he's been saying in these past few weeks. And they're all derogatory statements about NATO. He's really breaking up NATO's bond. Can we get something on chat, just a little bit about NATO, its current members and its strength? And just when you got it, I'll let you go ahead and read it. So again, Yeshaya, can you read down?
Yep. Kind of continue on that Matthew 24, verse 4. And it says, and Yahushua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach, and shall deceive many.
This was future prophecy, because Yahushua was still on the scene. They weren't coming around saying that they are Yahushua. You know, that mainly happened after he left. And still to this day, you have pockets of men that do that. Go on.
And it says, verse 6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet.
And this is what makes it urgent. You know, the brother put the definition of urgent. What does it mean? The topic says urgent war alert. Well, anything with urgent, it says a state of or situation. Babaka Shah, Samak, can you?
Khan. For the word urgent, Salakia, of a state or situation requiring immediate action or attention. The situation is far more urgent than politicians are admitting.
And that's a spirit, you know. They just added that part in the end. This situation is far more urgent because it's requiring immediate action and attention. And what we're talking about is, will NATO defend Greenland against the United States? You got some information on NATO?
Yeah, come.
Okay. You want me to share the screen, or you just gonna read it?
Yeah, if you can share
Okay,
about
I got you.
Okay. You let me know you're ready.
Yep, you got it.
Okay, Khan. So we got what's NATO's current countries and strengths. So here's a clear, up-to-date overview of NATO's current member countries and its overall military strength as of 2026. So UN NATO member countries, 32 total. As of the latest information, NATO has 32 member states spanning from North America to Europe. So you got North America, all right, United States, Canada, Iceland, okay, and it goes on to list the rest of them. But when you scroll down, they go into the overall military strength of NATO. So NATO.
Can we confirm that Denmark, the country that owns Greenland?
Yep, right here. There's Denmark.
So there you go. So now it's confirmed Denmark is a part of NATO. Denmark owns Greenland, or has the rights to Greenland. All right. Nobody, they have whatever deal they've made with the people of Greenland. Okay, and no country can come in and invade Greenland except you have an issue with Denmark. Now, by proxy, when you have an issue with Denmark or any of these countries you see on that screen, that's these NATO-aligned countries, you have an issue with the rest of NATO. That's a part of their pact. It's a military pact. Now, the thing is that for a military pact to be real, you got to act on that. You can't just be a flag without any army or moves behind it. You can't just talk like you a threat and then not back it up. So here it is, NATO, the entirety of all of these states and actors coming together. Their whole stance is that if anybody messes with us, we going to, as a whole, each of us going to retaliate. As the world knows it. What's the stance on when you have inside actors, agitators? Inside agitators. Most where's the NATO document describing what happens when a part of NATO tries to come and defeat another part of NATO? You see what I'm saying? The definition on the screen right here. Can you get that real quick?
Yep. Goes into the word.
Hold where you at. No, hold where you at. Don. We coming right back to you.
Okay.
Go ahead, Yeshai.
Yep, going into that word aggressor. This is a person or country that attacks another first.
You got an aggressor known as the United States that's basically through Trump, through this your cruel Lord Trump, stating that Denmark shouldn't have the rights to Greenland anymore, and we coming in to take it. An aggressor, person or country that attacks another first, or country. So whoever attacks first, you the aggressor. Now America's already using language like, "Yo, we coming in to get it. We want it, and we're gonna have it." So what's the reaction now? How does NATO deal with an inside agitator, an inside aggressor, a country on its list? Right? This is the rumors of wars Yahweh Shah told us that would happen in these last days. Can we keep going on, Adana?
Can I continue reading? Or
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Anything juicy? No, you can skip down to the part you was going to. Mm-hmm.
Okay, Khan. Yeah, so right here, overall military strength of NATO. NATO is widely considered the world's most powerful military alliance. Its strength comes from the combined capabilities of its members, especially the United States, across personnel, equipment, and defense spending. Right, personnel and size, combined active military personnel across the alliance is in the low millions, about 3.2 to 3.4 million total. Let's see. Yep, United States has by far the largest force in NATO, around 1.3 million in active personnel. Right. Let's see what else we got up in there. So skipping on down, key points. So collective defense. NATO's strength isn't just, individual militaries. It's collective defense under Article 5, meaning an attack on one ally is considered an attack on all.
Beautiful. And what we want to know now, what we're going to ask chat is, what is NATO's stance on the U.S. taking Greenland? Because this is where war is supposed to, based on what the brother just read, right? Attack on one is attack on all. We want to know what their stance, what they're going to do when the United States comes through. As you can see, tensions. What does that topic say? NATO, Greenland, and U.S. tensions. Things is tense, man. There's an aggressor in the midst, and he's not a outside of a NATO. This is all in NATO, in-house. You about to watch NATO either fall, either not be as strong as they said they was, and the world is watching. What you got? Anything?
Oh, I can scroll down. Let me see.
Yeah, see if what's his stance on NATO, on U.S. taking over.
Okay, yes, I'm right here. Number one, NATO's public position. So NATO itself has not officially endorsed the idea that the U.S. should take Greenland as U.S. territory. Rather, the alliance has been focused on strengthening collective security in the Arctic and discussing ways to improve defense cooperation in the region, and not territorial transfers. So officials have framed these talks as part of a broader Arctic security framework. All right. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte has publicly talked about boosting NATO's presence in the Arctic, but has not supported annexation or transfer of territory from one ally to another. The alliance's priority means collective defense under its founding treaty. Let's see what we got. Yeah, so Denmark and Greenland reject U.S. takeover. So Denmark, Greenland, sovereign state, and NATO has strongly rejected any U.S. attempt to seize Greenland, especially by force, warning that such action would break the NATO alliance and end the post-World War II security system. Greenland's own leaders say the island belongs to its people and to Denmark, and they reject U.S. claims of taking it over. So number 3, NATO European allies reaction. Several European NATO members, France, Germany, UK, Spain, Italy, Poland, etc., issued a statement that Greenland security should be collective and respect sovereignty.
Oh, your mic went out. Can y'all brothers hear him?
Nah.
Oh, it went out.
Yo, go ahead, try it again. We can hear you now.
Going back to the top, NATO European allies reaction.
Yeah, it's giving that issue again, Salaki. I don't know what that is. So for the most part, what we read is exactly what it sounds like. Things is getting real sketchy. Now they got this word annex, which the brother has here. Also want you to find a definition of annexation of countries. But can you read that, Yeshaya?
Yep, con. That word annex, it goes into append or add as an extra, a, subordinate part, especially to a document.
Right. So you can annex a document, add to a document, add a subordinate part. But what happens is there's a larger term, and it's a political term. It's newspeak. It's a word that got a light. What's the word? Like a lighter. It's a rephrasing of a more cruel word, which is to take and seize, annex. All right. Annex basically means take over. All right. Did you find anything about annex of a country?
Con, I'm looking now.
Okay. Whoever got it first. So you can ask yourself, how did Denmark end up with Greenland in the first place? They said they annexed it. How did the United States end up with Puerto Rico, Hawaii, Alaska, not Alaska, Puerto Rico and Hawaii? They annexed it. How did they end up with Texas? Texas was an independent state or independent country, so to speak. They annexed it. All right. So there's that term too. You got to watch out for. So the U.S. knows that, and then they coming in basically saying, "Well, we got as much right to annex the country as you do." And a lot of this comes from the idea that do Esau fighting over land that's not his? When you narrow it down to what it's really about, they fighting over more land that's not theirs in the first place. But the Lord did say in Genesis 27 as a blessing to Esau that he would rule what? How does it say? With the sword and then from the fatness of the earth.
Yep.
I could just grab that. You ain't got to pull it up if you don't want to. Just grab that real quick. And I see brothers left precepts, so we're going to go into them. Yep, because we want to know where Esau got the nerve to annex. And if anybody found the annexation of a country, what it says. And I need another brother to grab that in Genesis 27 where Esau got his blessing. Talk about the fatness and the sword. Whoever got one first. Samak, go ahead.
You get us more.
Con, I got annexation of a country. And it says annexation is the formal, often unliteral act of a state incorporating another territory or country into its own, resulting in a transfer of sovereignty, typically preceded by military conquest. It is considered illegal under modern international law and the UN Charter, which prohibit the use of force to acquire territory.
Right. Annexation of Gaza. Right. It's happening right now. You can look up the annexation of Puerto Rico. You can look up the annexation of Hawaii. This is a political term, but it's basically illegal. It's being an aggressor to a territory that's not yours. It's inhabited already. The annexation of the United States by France, the annexation of Haiti, the annexation of West Africa is basically colonialism in their terms. And so, you got two colonizing nations that's supposed to be on the same side, trying to figure out who has the right to illegally annex another territory, and we got, prior knowledge of why this is happening. But mainly, is it not because the Lord already said that these will be the signs that would occur in the last days as a symbol when he answered his disciples who wanted to know when will be the last days and the signs of the end and the sign of your coming, Lord? How shall we know you are coming when that time comes before you return? How do we know that time is going to come in the end of the world, which is synonymous with your return? How do we know that all of these things is going to play out or when these things will happen? And he gave him a sign. He gave him an answer. And part of that answer was rumors of war. Do we got anything on rumors of war? If not, let's go ahead with Genesis, whoever's holding that. And Samak, if there's more to that, If there's more to that, let me know. Go ahead with Genesis.
Okay, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Good. Genesis 27, verse 28, 38. And Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. Verse 39. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling should be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of heaven from above.
So he gave him earth. He gave him the, in this blessing, he gave Esau control over the earth. And if anybody want to add anything, feel free.
Go
ahead.
I'll just gonna read next verse.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 40, it says, and by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck.
That's right. So there's the challenge here is to remember all of these things in everyday life. The challenge here is to see why certain things happen before this lifetime and mirror them, match them up to what's happening now. The challenge is that's faced for all of the believers is to consistently and constantly remember the Lord, remember your Creator, remember that He gives powers and rulerships and kingdoms to whoever He wills. And it was even at this time, the two nations that were in the womb of Jacob and Rebekah, their two twins, it was given them prophetically the rulership of the world for different periods of times, so that Esau would rule first, and he would rule with a sword. So this is how another reason we match Esau, because he's an aggressor. We brought that word out, aggressor. A man or a person or a country that attacks another first. Esau aggressively goes throughout the world, colonizing it. He's fulfilling his blessing by having the fatness of the earth, and he's also fulfilling his blessing of the sword, of using his technology, using his weaponry, using his Gatling gun. If you go throughout periods of history, you'll realize that Esau always had the edge of the sword within this last so many thousands of years of him ruling. He had that his edge was his sword. You see, his edge was his technology and his sword, his blacksmiths and his modern day blacksmiths. The scriptures tell you is those basically those the ones who can create thermonuclear weapons, those nuclear physicists and those rocket scientists, mainly those coming out of World War II era Nazi Germany, those German scientists that began to work on the atomic bomb and the hydrogen bomb, and it's changed and modified all the way up into the nuclear missile. It's hypersonic nuclear missiles and multiple warhead intercontinental ballistic missiles. You have submarine missiles known as the Trident, if I'm not mistaken, is one of them that comes from the water. All right. And speaking of submarine, a big issue, just bringing it all the way home with Greenland, a big reason why America is pushing for control in these last days over Greenland is because one of the other aggressors that come out of the nation of Esau, Russia, one of the other aggressors has now seen it fit to come and wreak havoc in their own way by bringing in warships or bringing in submarines closer to the United States, inching their nuclear arsenal closer to the United States in a retaliation to NATO being the aggressor. See, NATO is not the bad, the unfortunate guy here. NATO is not the poor civilian in this situation. NATO, as we just read, Denmark annexed and took control of Greenland out of nowhere, right? Some old land. All right. Britain took control of America. France took control of the middle of the United States at some point in time, in Haiti. Right. Denmark took control of Greenland. And asked for it. They used that weapon, that sword. You have a whole line of dukes, all these dukes of Edomite fighting over territory. At some point in time, the scriptures say they'll fight each other. Let's get this real quick. I'm gonna share this clip, a little insight. to what the heck is going on and why Trump and the United States feel it's a need, feel a desire now to jump on Greenland. Let me see if I could make sure y'all can hear it.
Military presence in the Arctic. These were Russia's Arctic military positions in 1995. Today, infantry, naval, radar, search and rescue, air defense, the biggest buildup since the Soviets fell. This is where we lost Russia's most sophisticated submarines in the North Atlantic for 3 weeks. This is where we found their Lisharik submarine, which we noticed only because it caught fire. We have no idea how many more there are, but we think they're around here, 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 and here. This is Cregan. You know what Cregan is?
A nuclear submarine base in Scotland.
All of the UK's nuclear weaponry is housed at Cregan. It's what makes them one of the 9 nuclear powers. Also, it's the only base in Europe where we can dock our nuclear subs. It's the last place we have any hope of detecting a Russian sub before it's in the vast Atlantic barreling toward New York. The quickest way for Russia to penetrate our naval defenses is steaming from the Arctic to the North Atlantic. This is our military presence in the Arctic. These were Russia's Arctic military positions in 1995. Today, infantry, naval, radar, search and rescue, air defense, the biggest buildup since the Soviets fell.
All right. So what that basically going into is how Russia, who was another Edomite aggressing country in notable figure in end time prophecy, World War III prophecy, thermonuclear war prophecy, a great big agitator to end this, this beast and this shoot upon Babylon, America in these last days. We know it's coming. Russia, the easiest and quickest way for it to destroy America is through the Arctic. Here it is, you got missile defense systems over in the middle of Europe, all throughout Europe, but all they got to do is pass over Europe and go through the Arctic where it's not being covered. That same line that she drew from Russia to America, it passes right by Greenland. And so now, this is America's last chance, so to speak, to stop that. As you can see, war and rumors of war are constantly around. Now, for the average person, they're still worried about Corey Holcomb and Anton Daniels, man. For the average person, their team advanced to the championship. They don't got no time for this. Esau done lockboxed. He put you in a lockbox, locked it, and then threw the key away. As far as the mind frame of the average citizen, they can't distinguish a serious, urgent message from a casual, normal conversation. They can't distinguish that. The Lord didn't give them that outlook to be able to watch and see this. The watchman, the conversation around the watchman in the scriptures is consistent and obvious that some gonna fall asleep. Many don't want to be awake. And the few that are brought to this to the table to be able actually to be a watchman and set up upon a tower, they have a large task to do, which is to stay up, stay awake, consistently watching and being ready. This goes hand in hand with believing in the word, being a watchman, setting upon your watch and consistently looking out for the things that's about to happen. We could see it. What's happening right now, this next word, can you read this, Babakashah? Yeshaya? Oh, you on mute.
Salaki. Destabilization is the process of disrupting the stability, balance, or security of a system, government, or entity, causing it to become weak vulnerable, or chaotic. It often involves intentional. What's that? Sorry. It cut off at the end right there. Intentional actions to undermine control, create fear, or cause economic and social disorder. It can it can apply to.
Did I cut it off?
Nah, God, we good. It says it can apply to political, economic, psychological, or structural context.
All right. So if anybody wants to say anything on that, other than that, it's just basically what's happening with NATO and the EU. It was happening with NATO. NATO is splitting, man. There's a disruption going on. All right, it's a security flaw for America, as you can see. America has now become the destabilizing, agitator, and aggressor within NATO. And just that fast, the trust of NATO is gone. Just that fast, the bond that they used to have, what we were reading about NATO is falling. All right. There, you know what you're going. Yeah, go ahead, bro.
Oh, just a precept that's going into the division, as we was talking about the feet, miry clay and iron not being mixed together, pretty much meshing. Mark 3:23 NLT, it said Yahushua called them over and responded with an illustration. How can Satan cast out Satan? He asked. A kingdom divided by civil war will collapse. So similarly, a family splintered by feuding will fall apart. So if I may, like we always, we're hipped on with Esau, how they get down with each other. They never really get along. They've always been at war with each other. So, when you look at what's going on with these nations who are trying to pretty much establish what a new order, they don't get along. And it's all a part of prophecy. As we were just talking about the feet, miry clay and iron, they're not meshing together. So we're seeing the differences between America overstepping their boundaries and being pretty much a hammer of the earth, trying to go into a land is not theirs once again, and they're offending their own allies. So all in all, what we're seeing is the Lord stirring up the division to bring forth ultimately Esau's downfall. It's a beautiful thing to see in the spirit, that's knowing what the Lord is doing behind the scenes, setting up Esau with his own tactics. See, but that's what pride gets you. What, like the scriptures say, before destruction, the pride of man is haughty. So that's on all levels with Esau, especially that division.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all got it.
You know what? Let's keep going. Yeshai, can you?
God, 2nd Esdras chapter 4 and verse 37. And it says, by measure hath he measured the times, and by number hath he numbered the times, and he doeth not move nor stir them until the said measure be fulfilled.
Right. So as we was talking about at the beginning of the lesson, how the Lord pretty much, there's wars and rumors of wars, but at the same time, be not troubled. So there's pretty much a sequence doing prophecy. We know that World War III is not just going to pop out just like that. But first, it has to be the implementation of an RFID chip. Okay. You're going to start to see more division take place, more troubles. But that doesn't mean that we're at the end yet. So just understanding how prophecy is in line and everything's according to sequence, according to the Most High, then it gives you, it keeps you from getting too damn excited, right? And it keeps you from, overdoing things. So we just sit back watching prophecy play out, knowing the Lord is pretty much doing everything tactfully and in sequence as he planned to bring forth America's destruction. Know some Esau's in. So when we look at civil war and we look at society about to collapse, we know that that's all a build up into what World War III, the third war, which coming quickly. That's going to pretty much initiate America's destruction, all right, by Russia and also America's allies. Yeah, but y'all got it.
So let's take a second, watch this real quick. Brother, speak for a second. Let me get the video.
Did I have another precept, bro?
Okay, you know what? Let me throw this up there real quick, and then we're gonna grab it. Let me play this one.
To invade Greenland while attending the World Economic Forum in Switzerland. The president saying European leaders have come to a new agreement over the Arctic territory, adding that military intervention is officially off the table.
The president addressing the subject of Greenland directly during his speech in Davos today. Let's send things over to our DC Bureau Chief, Ben Kennedy. He's live in our nation's capital with all the details. Ben.
Today, President Trump said this deal would last forever. He says it is a good agreement for both the U.S. and for NATO.
It's a deal that everybody's very happy with.
President Trump announced the U.S. and NATO have a framework for a future deal with respect to Greenland.
It's a deal that people jumped at. Really fantastic for the USA. Gets everything we wanted, including especially real national security.
And that was the key reason why he said the country needed to acquire the Arctic island, citing threats from China and Russia. A message shared at the World Economic Forum in Switzerland on Wednesday.
We never asked for anything.
It's in Davos the commander-in-chief ruled out military force in U.S. efforts to take over the Danish territory.
I won't do that. Okay, now everyone's saying, oh, good. That's probably the biggest statement I made because people thought I would use force. I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force.
Sovereignty is something that only Denmark can decide on, and sovereignty is one of the key issues in international law. So I think we should stick to sovereignty and share the interests on the security of the Arctic.
Wall Street bounced back following his remarks that America's army won't be used, and that President Trump is also backing off from threats on European nations amid news of this framework.
Does it still include the United States having ownership of Greenland like you've said you wanted?
It's a long-term deal. It's the ultimate long-term deal. And I think it puts everybody in a really good position, especially as it pertains to security and minerals.
Now, President Trump will be giving remarks tomorrow in Davos in just a few hours.
All right. Go ahead with the next precept, Bob.
If I may.
Mm-hmm.
Just going into a couple of points that was made, going into what we were bringing out about annex and how it's it basically goes against international law, and this setting up the stage for, as this next precept gonna go into, this setting up the stage for their horse allies hating them, and another thing I heard, a key point was going into minerals. Trump just mentioned minerals. And we know when war begins, that's a key factor where land, is lands get annexes, annexed. You have different territories or countries, seeking their old lands, such as Russia with Ukraine and China with Taiwan, and United States jockeying for Greenland. It's a global positioning, letting you know that this is a time of war. If you understand war and you understand history, this is something that happens during a time of war. There's a grab for land because there's a positioning. You jockeying to have resources to be able to sustain your forces during a time of war. So we're seeing all these stages being set for prophecy, man, and it's playing out right before our eyes, and it's very beautiful. But if you may go on with the precept, Baba Kasha.
If I may, just to throw that out there, the brother did mention that we could have went into thousands of different or tens of hundreds of different events happening right now, playing out that are consistent with rumors of war. We just focusing on a small thing, just one dealing with NATO, EU, main people in this last days prophecy, main actors. But there's so many different. You can go into India and Pakistan. That's a rumor of war. They fighting on the border. Pakistan, if I'm not mistaken, Pakistan and China, they got their skirmishes on the border. The South China Sea, the Taiwan, the thing brother just mentioned. There's wars and rumors of war everywhere, which is why the Lord really set up watchmen, the ability for a watchman to stay awake and then to do your job. Think about it. A watchman staying awake, but all he doing is on his phone. That don't make a good watchman. Brothers just consumed if we could too much consumed into American TV, they ain't considered a great watchman. So it's a balance. There's shifts, even amongst watchmen. There's shifts, but when the watchmen are on shift, they're supposed to be watching. Well, technically, this is our shift. This is our time. The Lord woke men up to be able to stand, stand up, so to speak, and stay vigilant. What does the scripture say? Vigilant. Be sober. Be vigilant. All right. This is why we're able to just touch upon these things. But Yeshaya, Babakashai, read it for the brother.
God, this is the book of Revelation, chapter 17 and verse 16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire.
And this, if I may, this going into what we're looking at right now. The United States, which is that that whore that sit upon the beast. Her allies are going to hate her, and why? We're seeing why, because the pride of this devil, the pride of that whore, it's more stout than their fellows, right? And you see the boasting and I ain't got to use force and all that, such as Trump just said. Well, ultimately, this is going to make the allies of the United States hate this whore, and it's prophetic. Just going back into these rumors of wars and everything we're seeing playing out is all due to biblical prophecy. We're seeing prophecy play out right before our eyes, man. And again, I must say, it's a very beautiful thing to see, the words of our Lord won't return unto him void, but it's going to accomplish that what he set it out to do. And we're seeing it being accomplished. The will of the Lord, that perfect will, which ultimately is to destroy Babylon the Great through thermonuclear fire and set up a righteous kingdom. We're seeing the will of the Lord being played out right before our eyes. But just going back to the precept, we're seeing why, the whore or Babylon the Great's allies are going to hate her for her boasting and her pride. You want to take over this and that. You want to butt your nose into everybody else's business. But it's going to cause the devil's allies to hate her. And ultimately, they're going to shoot at her with those thermonuclear missiles, which was that let the weak say I'm strong. But now the bully on the block got, the ones that they're bullying, they got the same weapons now. Now you can't be the big bully on the block. Now everybody's ready to challenge you, and ultimately they're going to knock your block off with those thermonuclear missiles. And it's all by prophecy. It's all by the word of the Lord, where the Lord is going to accomplish his will upon this place by having her own allies shoot at her to team up with her enemies, which it's a perfect stage for, America's allies to team up with her own enemies. And they're going to shoot arrows at you and utterly destroy you and burn you with fire. And that fire is a dog saying for nuclear war, man, which is biblical. Slaki, you brothers got it.
Hey, the Lord made the enemies of America so fierce with their technology and their stockpiles of weapons that America now is left with no option but to turn and bully on its own allies. That's what's going on with Greenland, man. The Greenland, Denmark, yo, NATO, yo, we signed this pact. We a team, right? And you gotta say, yeah, but if you don't give me Greenland, we're not gonna be a team. As a matter of fact, y'all ain't been doing nothing for me. That's the language that Trump been using. If I can, real quick, let's go into this. Let's go into this one. It's called. The title say, "Be grateful." Trump said, "Be grateful or face consequences." Who are you talking to like that? You see, we in a different era where they don't even talk to North Korea like that. You know why? Lil Rocket Man will shoot one real quick at you. Let's go ahead, play this.
NATO, I'm talking about Europe. They have to work on Ukraine. We don't. The United States is very far away. We have a big, beautiful ocean separating us. We have nothing to do with it. Until I came along, NATO was only supposed to pay 2% of GDP, but they weren't paying. Most of the countries weren't paying anything. The United States was paying for virtually 100% of NATO. And I got that stopped. I said, that's not fair. But then more importantly, I got NATO to pay 5%, and now they were paying, and now they are paying. So something nobody said was possible. They said, we will never go up higher than 2%. But they went to 5%, and now they're paying the 5. They didn't pay the 2, and now they're paying the 5. and they're stronger for it. And they have an excellent, by the way, Secretary General who's possibly in the room. Mark, are you here? Yes, he's here. Hello, Mark. We never asked for anything, and we never got anything. We probably won't get anything unless I decide to use excessive strength and force, where we would be, frankly, unstoppable. But I won't do that. Okay? Now everyone's saying, oh, good. That's probably the biggest statement I made, because people thought I would use force. I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force. I won't use force. All the United States is asking for is a place called Greenland, where we already had it as a trustee, but respectfully returned it back to Denmark not long ago after we defeated the Germans, the Japanese, the Italians, and others in World War II. We gave it back to them. We were a powerful force then, but we are a much more powerful force now. After I rebuilt the military in my first term and continue to do so today, we have a budget of $1.5 trillion. We're bringing back battleships. The battleship is 100 times more powerful than the great battleships you saw in World War II, those great, big, gorgeous ships, the Missouri, the Iowa, the Alabama. Because I thought maybe we could take them out of mothballs. They said, no, sir, these ships are 100, think of that, 100 times far.
I'm gonna skip ahead.
Very energetic and dangerous potential enemies at bay. Is this land on which we're going to build the greatest golden dome ever built? We're building a golden dome that's going to, just by its very nature, going to be defending Canada. Canada gets a lot of freebies from us, by the way. They should be grateful also, but they're not. I watched your Prime Minister yesterday. He wasn't so grateful. But they should be grateful to us. Canada lives because of the United States. Remember that, Mark, the next time you make your statements. What we did for Israel was amazing, but that's nothing compared to what we have planned for the United States, Canada, and the rest of the world.
I mean, there you have it, man. The spoken from the stout horn himself, man. You know, but you see what happened is NATO is splitting, man. You know, that's infighting right there. And what's the word rumor? Essentially, a rumor is, you know, it's an unofficial report. You know, so you got the word on the street, then you got the word from the official, and if the officials ain't talking loud enough, or they switching what they're saying, then what do you have? You have rumors that's going to fill in where the official statements don't fill in, man. And what happens from rumors is people panic. A rumor, this is the elite world of politics. They understand business on another level, but the average person who gets gas at the gas station, he don't understand what that means. All he know is this is serious, and I might need to stock up on gas, or I might need to stock up on resources now, man. And this is where you're gonna have the panic buying. This is the real stages. What happens how it moves? There's a saying, it moves from war reactions, where war reaches the living room. That's what they call it, where war reaches the living room. Babaka Shah, pull that up real quick. Then we're gonna go into some more scriptures. See what that term means, when war reaches the living room, because the stage of it is just rumors from the politicians, but then in real life, people's lives daily, the rumors become law. Next thing you know, shipments aren't made. And another thing we have, you know, that's not to our advantage over here in Babylon, America, a lot of so-called Negro Latinos, a lot of Lord's people, we always think that Esau gonna work it out. You're led to believe in your everyday life that Esau gonna work it out. Yeah, but they not gonna fight each other for real. They just talking that. And then all it takes is for one, what they didn't tell you is that Greenland actually sent military over to Denmark, started sending military over to Greenland. They made a move. They don't tell you, they keep that part secret, but they actually brought troops over there to Greenland that was ready to fight against American troops if they started showing up, man. Did you find anything on that? Yeah, let me go ahead. See if I got you pulled up. Yeah, go ahead. Try it. Try it now. Yep, you got it.
All right, Con. So from Google, when war reaches the living room. So the meaning of it is when war reaches the living room refers to the concept of total war, where the violence, destruction, and daily impact of armed conflict enter the private, domestic spaces of civilians, shattering the barrier between the front lines and the home. Goes on to say, it signifies that no one is safe, and the war is no longer a distant event, but an immediate, personal, and inescapable reality. So here are so here are
right. You got it, brother.
Slakia. Yeah, so it says here are the key aspects of this meaning based on historical and cultural context. So the living room war, the Vietnam era, the phrase gained prominence during the Vietnam War, which was the first to be heavily televised. So journalists brought the horrors of combat directly into American homes via television, making the war a nightly, unsettling presence in the family's shared space. So total war and civilian impact, it represents the moment of a conflict moves beyond, read it again. It represents the moment a conflict moves beyond combatants, directly affecting the civilian population's homes, safety, and daily life.
And if I may, there's a few things that happens. The supply chains get damaged. Again, your livelihood revolves around the fact that there's going to be gas at the gas station tomorrow. And you cool with that. That's the reason why you can go to sleep at night. There's going to be food at the grocery store tomorrow. That thought in your mind allows you to fall asleep at night. And then you could do the other list of things that keep you alive every day that you utilize every day. There's your technology, your internet service is going to react tomorrow, right? Your phone going to work. Is the 5G signal is going to be there. You're going to be able to call people. Your electricity is going to be on. You surviving because of the warm gas and electricity that's on in your apartment or in your home right now. The fuel. So the truth of the matter is, as soon as the war reaches the living room, it can be far beyond the first strike, because a rumor will cause people to panic. People don't react the same every time. They don't react the way you want them to react. People react like, hive-minded, like when something's scarce, when something's out of control. Oh, that last part, you see it, loss of safety and control. Can you read that part?
Con, it says loss of safety and control. It symbolizes the intrusion of fear, violence, and uncertainty into a space that is supposed to represent safety and normalcy.
So yeah, blackouts happen. Blackouts happen because there might have been a strike, a rumor that they struck the towers or something, a rumor that they infiltrated, a rumor that the fuel lines is packed the next day. Out of a rumor, you waiting for 5 hours for gas because of a rumor, or another country threatens. That's a rumor. Imagine you were people of Denmark and you hearing Trump make statements like that. Stuff ain't going. You're gonna be on edge the next day. So these rumors destabilize people. They split up alliances. So don't be ignorant to say that Esau is this guy that always gets it to work eventually. All you got to do is sit this one out. Let the Edomites is going to fight, and then you not going to have no more fuel. When Edomites is going to go to war very soon, your lights is going to turn off. When Edomites go to war, them ships ain't going to come. Them cargo ships ain't going to bring in no more electronics, no more cool things, no more cars, no more items. When countries go to war, the whatever needs to be imported, it gets cut off, man. And as the brother just said, for the sake of war, for the sake of locking down the future of technology is in these what do you call them, the minerals, these minerals that they find over there in Greenland, like uranium and things of that nature. The future of the control over the world domination is in minerals, come to find out, because that's how you keep these appliances going. That's how you keep these weapons going. Your weapons need minerals to make them. You know how much silver is put into a warhead because they can't use regular metals and rely on regular metals to keep the conduction. So they have to rely on silver. Silver went up. So in these last days, the rumors is going to become law. The rumors is going to restart, cause people to panic. Is there any more to that?
Yeah, finishing off, it says, in essence, it means that the chaos of the world has breached the final barrier of personal security, forcing civilians to confront the brutality of war in their own home.
Damn, there to go. Let's grab this. Yeshaya.
God, this is the book of Genesis.
Salakia. That's what we read earlier.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, God.
Oh, beautiful. All right.
I think.
So can I hop down to this one?
Yeah, Revelations. Con. Yep, this is Revelation 6 and verse 4. It says, and there went out another horse that was red.
Yeah, Salakia. We know this red horse right here pretty much is Esau Edom, as you read in Genesis 25. Speaks of how he came out red all over like a hairy garment. So this horse, this power that was red, is talking about the so-called white man today. He was given a certain task, okay, as he would pretty much confiscate and steal the world, pursuant to Job 90:24. Well, how would he get all these resources? Well, it would be, of course, according to his sword, his blessing. You got it.
It says, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another.
Mm-hmm. So first thing I want to acknowledge is the fact that a power was given to him. By who? Well, the Heavenly Father gave Esau the authority to go around the earth creating wars. War 1, 2, and the upcoming war, World War 3, were all pretty much banking wars established through Esau. Okay. So he was given power to create wars and to take peace from the earth. What you see today, Esau he could never be satisfied, with just what he got. He always got to create wars or create some kind of discourse, even amongst themselves. Okay. So he's destroying everything in the process. I think it may be another. Yeah, that's it. You got it.
It says, and there was given unto him a great sword.
So when you add everything up, that's doing Esau's blessing, the sword, that pretty much, even from a little needle to punch into your skin all the way up, to this great sword in the form of an ICBM, the sword ranges. So the great sword, as we know, is the ICBMs that's going to be used to, destroy Esau's own kingdom. He's going to pretty much fall upon his own sword. So this is what's being used by Esau to scare the world into what their new world order, but it's going to backfire. All right. It's all going to backfire. So the things in which they're doing as far as trying to confiscate and steal land for resources to prepare for war is going to cause their own allies, as we, have been going into, to turn their backs on America. Also, the rest of these other nations, pretty much contributing to this great overthrow. All right. So that's what's taking place now. But y'all got.
Did we already get this one, or we go?
Nah, you can read it, Bible Shop.
This is Isaiah 47 and verse 8. It says, therefore, hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly.
Yeah, Salaki, and we know that this is talking about Babylon the Great when you read it from the top, which is America today. This is the land that dwelleth carelessly. They don't feel like, anything can really, anything major as far as what nuclear war can really happen to them. That's why you got Trump boasting in his speech. We can do what we want. Who's going to stop us, basically? Was pretty much adds on to the scripture about, who should make war with the beast. So due to Esau's pride and military might, he feels like he's untouchable. He's God. Go ahead, bro.
It says, that says in thy heart, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children.
Right, continue.
It says, but these.
Oh, Salaki. I think it's another.
If you got it, just go ahead and keep reading, bro. Because
Okay.
I'm in the background with a few things.
Okay, calm. Yep. We're going to Isaiah.
I got you.
Isaiah 47 and verse 9. It says, "But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day, the loss of children and widowhood, they shall come upon thee, and their perfection for the multitude of thy sorceries."
Yeah, so there you have it. Although America dwells carelessly, pretty much, boasting in its might and wealth, well, they don't understand that the Most High is setting them up, to be snared in an evil time that the scripture goes into. So although they're doing their work, they're setting up the New World Order, well, the Lord got another plot and plan for them. You see? And they can't see it because of their own pride. That's why when you read, I think you post in the group chat, bro, Obadiah, how the Lord pretty much calls their own allies or, those Confederate nations to come up against them. That's exactly what you're saying now. You see? So they will know the loss of children. They will know the loss of, this whole place is being completely annihilated. All right. That's the Lord's counsel. But I think that was it on there, bro.
It says,
this is the last part right there.
It says, "And for the great abundance of thy enchantments."
Enchantments. So yeah, we know that America was used to pretty much forward Esau's witchcraft across all nations, while the nations are polluted and have become pretty much mad and foolish. So now the skirt of America is being lifted up to where now the nation's starting to see what they're really about, which is treachery, deceit, lies, and they're really all about themselves. They go around the earth confiscating lands, playing a hammer the earth, as the scripture say, and stealing resources. And the nations are tired of that, man. So what are they gonna do? They're gonna all band together and side with Russia, to bring forth this great destruction. You see? Yeah, but you got it, bro.
You said him or the earth. I got one for you. This is the next video. Just lock it. Let me try to grab this real quick.
As the US readies for a possible military action on Iran, Russia has urged its ally to keep the door open for dialogue. Moscow has vowed to continue work with Tehran despite threats of military action and economic pressure from President Donald Trump. Russia has cautioned US against attack on Iran. It says the consequences will be disastrous. It has accused US of smashing the world around, first with its raid on Venezuela and now with threats to Iran. In a strongly worded message, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has stressed that no third party can change the nature of Moscow-Tehran relations.
Certainly, when the US starts acting in ways that neglect the very rules Americans themselves promoted, it suggests that our US colleagues appear unreliable when they behave in such a manner. We simply need to work and to implement the agreements achieved between Russia and Iran, as well as all other economical partners. When such a powerful country like US acts by these dirtier methods, it means only one thing: the US competitive position is steadily worsening.
A shared anti-Western ideology has been bonding factor for Russia and Iran. Both nations, heavily sanctioned by the West, challenge the US-led global system, promote multilateralism through BRICS and SCO. The strong ties between Moscow and Tehran emerge from a mutual need. Iran is one of the few international partners that Russia relies on for military hardware help since the Ukraine war. According to West, Iran supplies Russia with Shahid attack drones and missiles, ammunition and artillery for use in the war. Iran has reportedly sold nearly $3 billion worth of missiles to Russia in the past 4 years. Now, the purchases have included hundreds of Fateh 360 short-range ballistic missiles, nearly 500 other short-range ballistic missiles, and approximately 200 surface-to-air missiles associated with anti-aircraft defense systems, though Tehran admits it supplied drones to Russia but says it did so before the war. Moscow, too, have not acknowledged the purchase of Iranian missiles. Now, Western intelligence says that in return, Tehran has received military technology and intelligence from Moscow, as well as funding for its space and missile programs. In December last year, Russia sent 3 Iranian communication satellites into orbit. In July, a Russian rocket sent Iranian communication satellite Nahid-2 into orbit. Tehran is also believed to have coveted Russian Su-35 fighter aircraft and S-400 air defense missile systems, but it's unclear whether it had ever received these. One of the clearest signs that the alliance is more nuanced now is when Russia stood back during heightened tensions between Iran and Israel, and amid US and Israeli airstrikes on Iranian nuclear facilities last summer. 9 months after US strikes, the possibility of another military attack is looming again in Iran. Russia is monitoring the situation in Iran closely. Now, the prospect of another ally falling in the West Asia will be a worrying one for Moscow. Now, this particularly after it has seen its alliances with Venezuela, Syria, and the Caracas upended recently, denting its power and influence abroad. White House envoy Steve Witkoff and US President Donald Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner are seeking to travel to Moscow to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin. Though the topic of discussion will be Ukraine war, Putin would like to pass a word to Trump through US President's top aide.
Got it, Shay.
Yep, this 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 3. When they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape.
Yeah, so for me, you know what we're saying is, the Lord pretty much narrate this destruction as America is pretty much trying to forward its own peace and safety is on the end of backfiring on. So as you just watched this video, even Russia, it went into how Russia is backing up Iran. That's all biblical prophets. That's Ezekiel 38. How, pretty much God, my God, would be a how's it go? That would pretty much watch over Persia. There'll be a guard in the Persia. That's Iran, man. So we're seeing that play out as we speak. So Lord is setting America up and they don't even know it. So when they should say peace and safety, when we got our new world order accomplished, then that's when the destruction is going to come, man, as they travail upon a one with child, and they should not escape. When you go into Joel, the 2nd chapter, it speaks about how when these nukes are shot, the land of Eden, none shall escape, roughly paraphrase. So the Lord is doing this thing, he's making it vivid, as far as his counsel and his will, man, he's making it known, especially to his prophets. Yep, you got it, bro.
Come on.
Yeah, I got you, bro. Yeah, Obadiah 1 and verse 7, NLT. It says, all your allies will turn against you. They will help to chase you from your land. They will promise you peace while plotting to deceive and destroy you. Your trusted friends would set traps for you. That's it. And you won't even know about it.
Yeah, and if I may, just dealing with these other nations, everybody is fed up with Babylon, man. That's the thing. Not only the prophets, not only the saints, but these other nations as well. Okay? And everybody, as the scriptures you just read, you can tell these other nations, they're gathering up, like the brother spoke upon, that Gog and Magog storm with Russia. Okay, they're gathering up to find a way to come up against this place, man. And it's gonna be the way of thermonuclear missiles. Because ultimately that goes into the will of Yahweh Shem Shah, man. And that's what it's all about. And that's what Babylon finna get ready to learn. That it's all about the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, man. But you brothers y'all want to speak on that?
God, I got you, bro. Jeremiah 50 and verse 9, KJV. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country. And they should set themselves in array against her.
Slack it.
Yeah, from thence she shall be taken, so that arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man, and none shall return in vain.
Yep. Just again, going into these nations. Okay, again, starting with Gog and Magog, that's going into Russia. Okay, as well as these other nations under Russia, they're gonna come up against Babylon the Great, man. And like we read, even her allies, the ones who was her friends once upon a time, they're gonna shoot their arrows at this place as well. Again, it's all prophecy of the Lord, man. And we just sitting back as commanded, watching. Okay, what you got?
Come, verse 14. It says, put yourselves in array against Babylon round about, all ye that bend the bow, a shoot at her and spare no arrows, for she has sinned against the Lord.
That's it. Yep. And if I may, it's so many scriptures you can go into how the Lord is going against Babylon. All right, which shows you this is the will of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, man. Okay, that mighty archer, that's Yahushua. All right, like the brother he quoted Joel 2, the army of the Lord, which goes into those missiles. Those missiles are gonna have the spirit of the Lord upon them, man. Okay, just to all come against Babylon the Great, man. Because what? Like the brother read, it says, "For she have sinned against the Lord." Okay, scripture speak about how iniquity have reached unto the heavens. All right, hey, and here we are. We're like unto that righteous lot. You know, we in the spirit of righteous lot. How we crying and complaining upon this place, man. The Lord is hearing that, man. All right, and the Lord, He's seeing what's going on. Within this place. So now here it is. He putting the spirit on these other nations to gather up arms. Okay, to get their missiles together. All right, and shoot their arrows at this place, man. But you got it, bro. Okay. Con, this is the book of James, chapter 3 and verse 5. It says, "Even so, the tongue is a little member and boasted great things." That's it. It says, "Behold, how great a matter a little fire kindled."
Right. So we know that, when we watch Trump in his speech, man, his proud speech, his little tongue, is pretty much fueling this great fire that we're going to witness. So he's pretty much adding more gas into this spark. We're starting to see it being inflamed with these different nations, getting riled up as well, man. Turn up against America. You got North Korea that's test firing nukes, of course, other nations as well. But, we're talking about how their allies as well, are going to say to hell with America. We're tired of this place boasting and bullying us around as if, we can't do for ourselves. I think Trump said something, I don't know if we played it or not, but Trump said about Canada, they wouldn't be here if we didn't, help them. Mm-hmm. And Canada was standing on their own like, nah, man, we don't, no, we here because we have our own 2 feet basically. But, America, I think they're trying to put like 100% tariffs on Canada, so they're overstepping their boundaries and it's being fueled by their tongue. You see, that's going to pretty much create this great fire. You got it, bro.
That's it. Slocky. Let's keep going.
Yep, this is James 3 and verse 6. It says, "And the tongue is a fire, a word of iniquity. So is the tongue among our members, that it defileth the whole body, and setteth on fire the course of nature, and it is set on fire of hell."
Yeah, so just in the grand scheme of things, that we know that the tongue, what you speak, what you say, it can defile your body, it can get into a lot of trouble. But just on a grand scheme of things, where Trump is speaking, all right, that little horn that was more stout than his fellows, boasting in his military might and wealth, we able to do this and can't nobody say nothing. Well, they're doing nothing more than fueling, again, their own destruction. Okay, that's what's taking place right now. And it starts with, the speech. All right. I forget about this precept in Proverbs, going to that speech and how it pretty much calls your downfall. But yeah, that's the point on that.
That's it. Come on, load them up.
Yep, come. This is Jeremiah 50 and verse 23. "How was the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How was Babylon become a desolation among the nations?"
Yeah, so it's to make more sense what this is talking about, who this is talking about. As you just watched the video about America going around, Russia's talking about America smashing down the different nations. Well, how do you do that? With a hammer, man. Okay, so the scriptures is coming to life. They're tired of being beat down by the whore, right? Mm-hmm. That's why they're seeking to pretty much separate themselves from the US dollar, forming the BRICS, different currency, because they want to get away from the oppression and almighty dollar and ultimately America's military. So the whole world is going to come up against this great whore to shoot those arrows, as you just brought out earlier, bro. So how is the whole arm of the earth cut asunder and broken? And how she become a desolation among the nation? Well, the Lord pretty much set them up, to be snared. Yep.
It says, verse 24, "I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou was not aware, it says thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so when we read First Thessalonians 5th chapter, when it speaks about them, having peace and safety, and the Lord pretty much coming up on them like a snare, this is what it's going into ultimately. The Lord is setting this place up, again, as we starting to see World War III escalate, certain divisions, it's all the same play. So we see who's behind the scenes, bringing forth America's own demise. It's Yahweh by Shemi Al-Shai, man. Yep.
Yep. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, Salakia. Joel 3:9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up.
Yep. The uncomfortable reality of this lifetime. We was going to that yesterday at the sit down lesson. It's just the Lord just so happened to choose for us to be in a lifetime where some of the prophecies have been fulfilled and then others haven't. We're in the time of the fulfillment of what's considered in Daniel's 12. When it goes into this, Jeremiah 30:8, it's going to be the most or the worst time since the beginning of time. The worst time to live through. Austerity after austerity, as you can see, the little members or Gentile nations waking up, man. Consider the alarm going out, and this our words is likened to an alarm. So the effect of the Lord's men out here prophesying has that realistic alarm feel, where now it has to come to pass. The Lord said, in these last days, I'll send you out. You shall prophesy into the four corners of the world, and then the end shall come. So prophecy is very much another indicator. Men, even if you did not believe, even if you scoffed at everything we said, the fact that men are calling themselves prophets right before what looks like a Thorwald's war to begin, should have some type of airy feeling on you, unless you are a complete idiot. And you completely not locked into reality at all. But if you just, you have some that are halfway awake and starting to wake up, and they're realizing, whoa, wait a minute, the trumpet is being blown. The sound of prophets have been declaring this for a long time. All right, now it's the high time to awake up out of sleep. So we have a military buildup happening. All right, you have nations ready, feuding to go to war. You have a destabilization we brought out earlier. Esau fighting over himself. All right, and we didn't even get into the fact that you have something called like foreign services that try to shape the narrative to their for their purposes. For instance, you have the Mossad. The Mossad will take this scenario and take your television screens and the millions of nations of people who watch television, and they'll reshape this entire thing to create the public to draw into it the certain way they want to. All right, they have movements of people on the ground, so-called Antifa or guys like that, agitators, Black Lives Matters. They use those NGOs and stir up adversaries in the ground on people. They create chaos. They got this term, if you could look it up, managed chaos. Can you type in managed chaos, which is basically order ab chaos, bringing in a new world order. So it's not that you just have America or the President Trump to worry about. He's bought out. He's paid for. He has to go over there and kiss the wall. He has to go. They called him the first Jewish president. He has to bow down to these guys who have every other politician on what you call it, like in a scandal, some kind of a scandal that if they let it out and aired it out, they would lose their nobility, they would lose their diplomatic immunity. So he has Esau, the Messiah. Nobody, that's another thing. What do they want to see? What does Messiah want to see out of Russia and America? What does Messiah want to see? That's what we want to know. Again, we didn't even speak on Russia, what Russia got to say about Trump taking over Greenland, mainly. He did say he's the hammer of the earth, basically. You know, he's trying to smash the entire world. But what's Russia's stance on this? Because NATO is an enemy of Russia. Do you think NATO really got an issue with, Russia alliances breaking right now? Or this rumor, this threat, America versus NATO? Nah, man. How is Russia furthering this cause? So geopolitics and rumors of wars, man, they're at every stage you could possibly find. There's, like I said, there's CIA, what they're doing. All right, there's background groups, there's fraction groups. Okay, but the words of the Lord going to be sustained. Basically, at the end of the day, they're going to shoot their arrows, man, to end the life of the whore. Did you find anything on that, Adan? What'd you find?
Yeah, so we got from Google, managed chaos meaning. So it says managed chaos or controlled organized chaos refers to a strategic approach where an environment appears disorderly, hectic, or unpredictable on the surface, but in actuality, it's actually structured to foster innovation, flexibility, and growth.
That's why I said, what does Messiah want out of this? You know, you're fostering it to grow. You're trying to shape public opinion. What do you want everybody in the United States to feel about what's going on with Greenland? You know, how are you going to change it and work it in? You know, there's another, the Golden Girls episode that they said, I have a idea. Why don't we put all of the Palestinians on Greenland? They didn't find that out. You know, that got pulled out of the chambers. So maybe that's a big step for Mossad. This whole thing was about putting the Palestinians somewhere in the new land territory. So, you know, there's so many plays that you could think of when you run the world. That's what the Lord gave these people, ability to run the world for a certain period of time. They just happened to run the world right before World War III. That's the worst, most terrible time to run the world. But as you can see, you know, manage chaos. That's what's happening when these private entities and these foreign services. Okay, you got something called the BND. That's the CIA of Germany. What are they doing right now? You got the CIA of Russian branch. You got the CIA of Denmark, supposedly that allow all of the information of where the Mossad agents was over there in Iran when they had those protests going on. Supposedly that was the CIA of Denmark that told Iran where all that Mossad agents was, and they rounded them up, and that's why they stopped that war. It was all of a sudden the war was stopped and prevented, you know, because they was about to start the beheadings. Things is happening, man. The Lord is stirring all of this up. You got to pay attention. You got to be awake to see it. Okay.
This is the book of Luke. God, this is the book of Luke, chapter 14 and verse 31. NLT. It says, what king will go to war against another king without first sitting down with his counselors to discuss whether his army of 10,000 could defeat the 20,000 soldiers marching against him? And it says, verse 32, and if he can't, he will send a delegation to discuss terms of peace while the enemy is still far away.
And this is how peace comes about. You might ask, you know, they got this new peace board that Trump even got Russia on, is on the peace board. A lot of times the peace board comes about because they realize we can't go to war with these people. They done did the math. They have this thing called scenarios, war games, or war. You know, they use the computer to run these models and see who would beat who in the war. If war popped off for Taiwan right now, who would win? And then all these scenarios and these calculations, like, you know, what that dude, Doctor from what's his name from Marvel, you know, Doctor Strange. Is it Strange? Yeah, he tries to find all of the end scenarios or possibilities that could happen. He looks at every single possibility as fast as he can. That's what's happening in these last days. Things are speeding up. Technologies are advancing. The technology that was here 5 years ago is that much sharper than it was now. All right. All the bullies have been grown up. And now you got to go back. The king got to sit back down and get re-advised by his counselors to discuss, is going to war with Russia. Is it happening? Is it possible? Do we win? Are we victorious? No, we lose. Is going to war with China? Is it happening? Is it possible? No. Where can we win? The only idea that they can win, the only world they can win in, is if they take hold of all the resources you need to build weapons. Take those away from. So that's the new strategy. The play on who can take over Greenland before the Russians get it anyway. There's resources in Greenland that they need. So now it's no more about, yeah, we're trying to be friendly with our the Lord is causing them to turn against their allies. They see no other way. They see defeat in every other example and scenario, except if they go to war with NATO themselves to take over whatever they need. Take what you need. There's too many threats. We've been advised by my counsel, the American counselors are advising Trump, take what you need. The Messiah is advising Trump, take Greenland, take it. Take it. We taking Gaza, take Greenland. And then guess what? China going to take Taiwan. That's going to be, taken. And them is resources. That's chip manufacturing resources. So everything revolve around, you see, war. And you can't prevent it no matter way. The Lord put you in a trick bag in these last days. The sword is going to come down upon your own pate. See, a brother put up a preset, and I knew the brother KDC was putting up a few out. I wasn't able to bring them out at the moment, but back shot, just read that for him.
Yep, this the brother on the end has come, 9907. It says Job 20 and verse 5. It says that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment.
So we almost out of here, You look at the wicked, they only have the ability to be happy for a moment. That's why the scriptures in Lamentations 4:21, it says, let them be happy, let them rejoice. Oh, daughter, Edom, rejoice. You don't got to stop them. You don't got to prevent them. Let them be happy. They don't even, if they were wise, they would consider their latter ends. They're oblivious to their latter ends. A happy Edomite, you think he knows how short of a time he has and how short his legacy is, and how quickly he's going to be in chains, according to prophecy, not according to the big bad wolf China or Russia, but according to prophecy. Because the Lord, if he was really with Babylon America, he would send down angels to destroy or work on the minds of Russia and make them launch their missiles into space, and you would never see them again. The Lord is cooperating with the minds of the enemies and alliances of America to turn on them. That's why the joy of a hypocrite is but for a moment. And America is really staring, it's the hammer of the earth. Once it's out of there, you don't got no more hammer of the earth. The Lord is, Yahweh is returning to become the Lord of Lords at that point in time. Let's keep going.
God, this 1 Kings 20, starting at verse 5, NLT. It says, soon Benahad's messengers returned again and said, this is what Benahad says. I have already demanded that you give me your silver, gold, wives, and children.
Show you that in that day, the equivalent of what you have now. We're taking that land, we coming to get that land with kings, nothing new under the sun. That's why we consistently say Trump is Nero. All right. Nero built the ark. Arks commemorate the triumphant. You have a parade for ark. You don't just put it up there. Nobody hears about it. You have a parade for it because you triumphantly attacked and destroyed another land and their people. That's why you build an ark. Trump has plans to build this ark. During this time, Ben-Hadad, he's dealing with coming and attacking Israel and basically saying that he's going to take everything. Let's take everything. Wives, silver, gold, and children. As you can see, nothing's off the table. Go ahead.
It says, then Ahab summoned all the elders of the land and said to them, look how this man is stirring up trouble. I already agreed with his demand that I give him my wives and children and silver and gold. Verse 8. It says, verse 8, it says, don't give in to any more demands, all the elders and the people advised. So Ahab told the messengers from Benhadad, say this to my lord the king, I will give you everything you ask for. Yeah, it says, I will give you everything you asked for the first time, but I cannot accept this last demand of yours. So the messengers returned to Benhadad with that response.
Yep. And that's basically what's going on is that, you know, it said Ben-Hadad, king of Syria, king of Aram, which is Syria, toward the king of Israel, leading to a refusal by Ahab and the elders. So they refused after asking for too much. After somebody asked you for too much and you already gave up so much, you basically denied them the ability to have anything more. I cannot accept this last demand. So that's going to happen with Trump coming after certain alliances. You know, at some point in time, America, there's going to be nothing else left for the nations to decide. Like, we want you to have this. We want you to have this. He's talking about taking Canada. You see it openly. You know, he wants to make Canada the 51st state. We don't want you to have that. You can't have. They laughing at it at first, but then they know there's a whole weapon system behind America. Okay, and this is why America also knows that it's going to agitate the world enough where they're going to shoot at her. Iron Dome. Was it Iron Dome or was it Golden Dome? A Golden Dome, right? To stop missiles. Oh, Israel got the Golden Dome, so America must have some other kind of dome.
I'm a fact check.
I think it's Israel got the Iron Dome, and America wants to have the Golden Dome because, you know, Trump the gold.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
Yeah, that's right.
And so, you know, this is the situation here. At some point in time, the king basically said, "Look, yo, we're not giving you no more. We don't give you everything you asked for already. You want more." And we can't give into those demands. They're going to stop allowing America. And then America either going to be hit with the situation where now you have to use military force. If you want it, come get it. And this is the stage where so-called democracy is off the table. But again, you know, the average person, you're going to have to deal with your blackouts. You're going to have to deal with no more food coming in. You're going to have to deal with the hell of empire, global powers going to war or World War III. You're gonna have to deal with that. You're gonna have to deal with a draft, them drafting all your kids to the war. You have to deal with that. You know, EMP attacks, the rumors, or you don't know where it's gonna happen. You don't know who's going to get attacked next. People looking for bunkers, people looking for shelter. All right, panic buying. Just the fact that there's panic buying going on at any point in time in the United States is an issue. That's an issue. You know, you go in there for toilet paper and there's none, antibiotics and there's none. This is issues. So war and rumors of war stirs up all kind of things that the average person ain't ready for, man. All right, we jump down to you, Adon.
Yeah, this is Isaiah 14:21. Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities.
Right. So, you know, this is exactly what we're seeing, the preparation, you know, for the slaughter of whose children? Well, those who are in power, that will be Esau. So as America is, again, overstepping their boundaries, confiscating resources, minerals, lands for the sake of defense and safety, you know, they drive themselves right into a pit, you know. Their own counsel going to pretty much cast them down. So the Lord is doing this ultimately, of course, for, you know, his glory, but also for the salvation and the just, you know, justice for the you know, the elect. You know, the bloodshed that was shed on this land. There's a lot of blood that had to be cleaned up. So, you know, what's going to be the thing that's going to clean it up was going to be the fire that's going to consume all these, like we went into last night at the live with how Esau is back on the scene. You know, reincarnation is a real thing. So the Edomites that we see today, man, they were here before. and they they played a big part in the persecution of the children of Israel. You see, so yeah, prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers. I don't know if y'all saw that documentary. I think Matt Walsh, y'all know what I'm talking about, this Edomite. He got he got like a little series going of like justifying slavery and why they put the so-called blacks and Native Americans into slavery. Well, it was something that happened prior to it that caused that. So what these devils are doing, they're trying to pretty much erase history. They're taking down monuments and different things that had to deal with them oppressing us, and they're trying to pretty much flip the script and create their own narrative once again. But the Lord's not going to forget. He's not going to forget what these devils have done. That's what you're seeing now. The Lord's remembering Esau, Edom's atrocities, man. So we're in a time of a great recompense. See, yeah, but y'all got it.
Hey, that's word from mentioning again, through the Spirit. That definitely hit at yesterday's lesson again. Just mentioning what happened, where brothers have spoken about anything that doesn't make sense about Esau. You're supposed to fill it in with the scriptures. At some point in time, you can't figure Edomite out. Fill it in with the scriptures. That's what the scriptures are here for. They're the rest of the files that you didn't get in the dossier of this man. All right. He's been doxxed. How they say doxxed. You got doxxed. All your information is online. They exposed you, or they exposed that ICE guy. We found out where he lived. We found out who his wife is. We found out, how much money he makes. We found, they dox you. They publicly expose you. Well, Esau's been publicly exposed according to the scriptures. This is where you find out about your oppressor. Did I freeze up?
Nah.
Okay. So, yep. So we had that, brothers. It's imperative that you don't get confused about Esau, where you keep thinking that he's just this kind-hearted God, man. That's the biggest lie and deception tactic that he uses, that he's able to manipulate you with. Why so many thousands of people got jabbed up, why it continually happens, because he gets to, as a brother mentioned, rewrite history. All right, tell you what you should be thinking. And now they're at a point where they're straight up about to come down on the First Amendment, man. It's going to be a crime to post anything. They're taking down channels again, rewriting history. This is his MO, to control the narrative. It's always been. What Napoleon said, history is written by the winners. So he sees it. He sees himself as a winner. You can't tell him no different. At this moment in time, he is. He gets to do what he wants. The scripture said when he goes upon his sleep, or when he wake up, they devise evil that they slept upon. When the morning is light, they practice it, because in the hands of their power their hands to do so. So you can expect the Edomite to show his horns at the stages from now forward. Even if you never thought about that, you never come to the conclusion. From now forward, you're supposed to move with the understanding, all right, that this is your enemy, natural born enemy, and you have been now advised that he will start from the top down. Elite bankers, Joe Smo and them, they're just confused, but you still put them in the proper perspective. But it's the elite international bankers on down that's going to begin to move on you people of the world. All right. And they don't stay up at night worrying about you. Okay. It's not like that. They're not the humane people you give them, that you cloak all humanity with some kind of humaneness. That's not how the biblical narrative of the Edomites' legacy is. He said, I will kill my brother Jacob when I have the chance to. I'll bury my father Isaac, and then I will kill Jacob. When Cain slaughtered Abel, he wasn't losing no sleep on that. He specifically answered the Lord, which sees everything. He answered the Lord. Am I my brother's keeper? I don't know where that man is at. Lie, So this is the ability of the serpent to beguile. To trick, to be elusive, throw shade, cast shadows, basically trick you out. Ultimately, this is our blessing. One of the blessings that we're gonna have at this stage, the blessing that we have along with the name of the Lord and these prophecies, is to understand our enemy. So you got to keep that. Keep that. That's a gift. All right. Signed, sealed, and delivered from Yahweh Shem Shah to his men and his elect women out here. So we're gonna leave it at that. And I brought this video was edifying. Again, we want to give all glory, honor, and praises due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Kodash. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. And Shalom. And double honors to our apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone. Shalom. Till next time, Abarat Dizah. Shalom. Tuab Laila.
Shalom.
Right. Shalom.